Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile, and this is the Fat Frequency Reference Pro, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. The Fat Frequency Reference Pro, this will set you back $400 from your bank account. It is a 3 balanced armature driver configuration. So, Fat Frequency, also known as Fat Frec, is mostly known for their bassy, fun-sounding IEMs, and I haven't heard any of those. But I went and did some research on Fat Frequency, and I saw that they did reference-tuned IEMs, and I was very curious, and so I purchased the Reference Pro, and thought I would do a review of it. So the Fat Frequency Reference Pro, unfortunately I was unable to locate any of the specs for the Reference Pro. They're not listed on their website, and I'll put a link down in the description somewhere on the screen so that you can look it up. There's also some other curious technology inside of the Reference Pro that you may find interesting to research. So the Fat Frec Reference Pro, it does not have much of an unboxing experience. It came wrapped in bubble wrap in a very small box, and inside the bubble wrap was this carrying case. You get some branding here on the front. It's a nice little case. You have a lock, and then it just flops open, and you have plenty of room with a tray. Nice foam on each side. You get some paperwork, and you get a cleaning tool with a little brush and a little pointy thing to clean out your nozzle. And then you get a bag with small, medium, and large silicone tips. That's it. The carrying case is nice. It'll protect your Reference Pros very nicely, and slips in a bag very easily. It's very portable. I do wish that Fat Frec had included a few more tips, but other than that, I understand the reason for the simplicity of the accessories, as this IEM, the Reference Pro, is meant for studio use and for stage monitoring. So I understand that there's not really a need for a big, huge unboxing experience. You just want something simple. The Reference Pro, they are very well built, and yeah, they look fairly decently nice. I have this nice blue faceplate. On the left hand, or the left IEM, it says Fat Frec. And then on the right, you have branding and a little bit of a logo. Very attractive looking faceplate. It's this bluish color. And you can get these also in customs if you want. On the back side, you do have quite an aggressive wing and a nice long nozzle. They are a little bit on the chunky side, but they're extremely light. And I was rather impressed by the build of the Reference Pro and how nice they look. Even though it's a little bit not on the premium side for the $400 price point, it still is a very attractive looking IEM and very, very well built. I don't have any concerns with them not lasting for years. The cable connects with 2-pin. It is comes with some really nice ear hooks. They have nice tension, and they're nice and thin, but yet feel well controlled. And then the cable itself is nice and light. You have a cinch that stays in place, a metal split here with a little bit of branding, and then it terminates into a 90-degree 3.5. You can change different tips, or tips and cables. I found that alternate tips didn't really alter the sound at all. They just helped with comfort, and I stuck with the stock tips, but I also found that Final Type E tips were extremely comfortable, and I enjoyed those. As far as the cable, alternate cables do help. This cable is okay, but if you add on something nicer, like an effect audio cable, like an Aries or an Eros, cable, the subtleties do come out just a little bit more, and I find that cable rolling does help to bring out some of the capabilities of the Reference Pro. But the stock cable is very doable. I find that the Reference Pro is rather good when it comes to outside noise isolation and comfort. Even with that wing and the shape of the nozzle and the angle of it, I find them to be very, very comfortable, and that bulkiness didn't really bother me. They fit in my ears very well. It was like they were made for my ears, and everything just disappears, and they do a really good job of isolating outside noises. I find they're probably somewhere 70-75% of outside noises being blocked. These things are fantastic when it comes to noise isolation. It muddles everything and just kind of muffles everything, and it just makes you go into your own little zone, and all you hear is your own music. To carry on conversations with somebody, you definitely have to take them out unless you're super good at lip reading, which I am not. And you can also, when you're outside and noisy vehicles are going by or things like that, you're not really going to hear them very well at all. It does a great job with that. I can wear these for hours upon hours. I'm talking 6 to 8 hours at a time with no discomfort, and then I'm in my own little world with the isolation. The PhatFrak Reference Pro is actually fairly easy to drive. I had no issues driving it with any of the dongles that I have, any of the DAPs and a desktop. It sounded very well. It stayed very well controlled with all of the sources, and it did bring out more of its abilities when used with balanced or more powerful devices. I found that it brought it out and enhanced the experience, but they aren't very picky at all when it comes in regards to that. I did also test them on a Allen and Heath QU24 several times during church services, and found that they worked very well in that regard, using them as a monitor. And I was very, very pleased with how easy they were to drive, and I barely had to turn the volume up on the board itself as the Reference Pro was being used as a monitor. So, how do the PhatFrak Reference Pro sound? Now, I have not heard any of the other PhatFrak products, but the way that they're described, they're mostly more for fun, entertainment, big bass, lots of power and authority. And the Reference Pro is more tuned for musicians, stage monitoring, and live performance monitoring, and mixing and that sort of stuff. So as I was using the PhatFrak Reference Pro, and I was thinking about how I would use it in live performances, and I was using it at my church during services, and I was listening to music playback, and I was rather impressed. The bass of the Reference Pro has a nice linear approach with a slight uptick in the mid bass and sub bass regions. There's nice authority, nice power, and yet it stays very well controlled. There's excellent details and resolution, and there's nice note weight. You get this sense of authoritative bass without being domineering and overpowering of the mix, and it sounds very accurate and true in its representation. I found that the bass has a nice presence about it without being this I'm the star, I'm the big show here, unless that's all that the track is. The bass of the PhatFrak Reference Pro is very nicely controlled, has good details and resolution, nice note weight, and excellent tone and timbre. Everything sounded accurate and true, and is reproduced accurately back. And then the mids have a nice fullness to them without being too lush and thick. They have a good amount of tone and timbre with, you really never think that they are a balanced armature IEM. They have a very nice naturalism to them, and the details and resolution, just like the bass, is very, very good. They do have just a little bit of a lack of space and air. I wish that there was just a little bit more. They tend to be a little bit on the warm side, leaning towards being a little bit more thick, but it's not anything that's compressing and making it sound too much fullness and stuff like that. But it could use just a little bit more air and space. The treble of the Fat Freq is well controlled. It extends nicely, but at the same time, just like the mids, it does lack just a little bit of air and space, and it at times can be doesn't quite have the bite, the edge, and the crispness that I'm looking for when it comes to a reference IEM. It kind of rounds and smooths things just a little bit to make it so it's not fatiguing, but at the same time you lose a little bit of that natural bite, edge, and crispness. But the tone and timbre is very nice. It's very natural sounding. All the instruments sound accurate and true, and there's very good details and resolution. So overall, the bass, the mids, and the treble play very well. They're very cohesive. They're very balanced, close to linear with just a slight uptick in the bass areas. And overall, they just have a very pleasurable, natural reproduction of tone and timbre with good details and resolution. The soundstage of the Reference Pro is what I would consider to be very natural. It's not this most wide, grand, insanely wide stage. It does a better job of portraying the differences in venues, and then when it needs to, it'll give you a little bit more of that width and a little bit more of that grand size, but it's not always trying to make everything sound wide and open. It does a really good job of portraying small, medium, and large venues. Has good depth, and at times it can get just a little bit muddled and confused on busier, more complex, bassy tracks. But other than that, it does a very good job with depth and layering. Everything is very much nicely separated, and does a good job of, there's no fighting and pushing each other away, trying to get the attention. Everything has its own little space. Imaging does a very nice job. You can place things, it will lock on, and you can follow them from side to side. You can go, it's right there, it's right there, and it's a very small area that it's in, and it does a really good job of pinpointing your details on the stage, and you can follow them as they move across and around. The detail retrieval is excellent for its price point. I had no problems there, and while I was using them as monitors, I could, without even looking up at the stage, I could go, okay, that's on the right hand side, that's stage left, okay, that's on my left ear, that's over here, and I could pinpoint where things were coming from. And also everything sounded very accurate and true in placement and in tone and timbre. Using them as a stage monitor as well, they sounded very accurate. I could easily tell that's the piano, and it sounds just like the piano. The only thing that was lacking slightly was it was rounded and smoothing the crispy edges of the piano as it would pound away. Overall, I found that the tone and timbre is very, very natural and reproduces very well, has nice note weight, and then also detail retrieval and resolution is phenomenal. So the Fat Freq or Fat Frequency Reference Pro, I'm rather impressed by how good these actually are, especially with being a balanced armature set. You really can't tell that they're a balanced armature set. They sound very natural and accurate. How do they compare to a couple other stage monitors that I have? One that is similar in price, and that is the Softears Studio 4. Now, the Softears Studio 4 sounds very, very similar. It doesn't quite have as much bass impact as the Reference Pro has, but at the same time, it extends out nicely, has good sub bass and mid bass punch and slam, and then it extends very well in the mids and into the treble. The Soft Ears Studio 4 has a little bit of that bite, edge, and crispness in the treble regions that the Reference Pro is somewhat rounding and smoothing. The Studio 4 does a slightly better job of giving you that reproduction of those edges and crispness and bites. Soundstage wise are very similar. Depth and layering are very good on both. And the Studio 4 is very similar in detail retrieval and resolution. Tone and timbre, the Studio 4 gets a slight little edge just because it has those little crispiness and bites and edginess up top that the Reference Pro doesn't have. And then, and as far as imaging and placement, they're very, very similar. Stepping up and going into a lot larger of a price point, you have the Westone Mach 60. Now, the Westone Mach 60s are significantly more detailed and resolving, and they have more natural tone and timbre. They also have better texture in the bass, and the imaging and placement of things on stage is more precise and accurate. And then depth and layering is slightly better and improved, and then the soundstage width is pretty similar. So the Fat Frequency Reference Pro, yeah, I like these, and I like these a lot. They do a really good job as a stage monitor. As far as being a playback everyday type of listen, depends on if you like a neutral and natural reproduction, then you would enjoy the Reference Pro. If you're looking for a little bit more fun factor and a little bit more sparkle and energy up top, the Reference Pro may not be for you. But I really like these, and I can use them as an everyday carry. They're that good. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information regarding how you can contact the channel, follow the channel, support the channel. All that kind of stuff is listed down below. Speaking of supporting the channel, I want to thank my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you very much for all that you give to the channel. It's much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's various ways that you can do that through one-time gifts with PayPal, Venmo, and YouTube. But if you want to subscribe to monthly subscriptions and support on a monthly basis, you can do that also through YouTube and through Patreon. And there you can get access to videos early, and also you can gain access to my private Discord server. All you have to do is ask. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also down below, there's all kinds of other information, gear recommendations, music recommendations, and all kinds of other things are listed down below. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.